Hey guys, welcome back. What you're looking at is the month 7 on the Torah calendar and the true month 7, which is listed on at the right as month 8 on the Torah calendar. And we have just been through the Feast of Trumpets. And the Feast of Trumpets, the true Feast of Trumpets, because they're a month behind, the true Feast of Trumpets was from October the 7th. The moon was spotted over in Israel on the evening of October the 7th, Thursday, and it lasted until sundown, Saturday, the October the 9th. So what we're looking for is all the feasts before the end of the Jewish summer, which is October the 31st, Halloween. And the feast of interest that we're looking at next, which is a very good possibility, is the 10th day of the Jewish month. And that is Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. And that's found on, that runs from October the 16th to October the 17th. And if that falls through, but it looks very likely that it will occur on Yom Kippur, and we'll go over that in a second. But if that goes through, then the next dates that we're looking at are from the 15th to the 23rd day of the Jewish month, which is Tabernacles, the Feast of Tabernacles. So anyway, that is what we are looking for. So let's get you to the Google document. Let's go over some updated figures on that. So to get to the Google document, you can go to the last video, click on description, and you will notice that the Google document is found right there. Or you can go to the bottom of the pinned comment and the link, I don't want that. The link is found at the very bottom, right there. So let's go to the Google document. Okay, this is a Google document, and you will notice that the time that we are looking at is up until the end of the Jewish summer, which is October the 31st, 2021. And this is discussing, again, the fig tree generation, it being 80 years. And I'm going to show you a video of why it's 80 years a little bit later, closing it out. And again, we discussed that the date, after 80 years, the date that scholars agree that Jesus is coming back is on the Day of Atonement, which is 7 years in the future, which is September the 30th, 2028. And this day is Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And this is the last Yom Kippur before Israel would turn 81 years old, satisfying the fig tree prophecy that was up above in Matthew 24, verses 32 to 34, and also Psalm 90:10. And it's interesting to note that the Lord uses exact day counts to determine prophecy timelines. And this is a very good video that you could watch Grant Jeffrey and miraculously, he's showing to the precise day when Israel once again became a Jewish nation in May 14th, 1948, to the precise day. It's very interesting. But if we calculate the number of years to the day, we come up with this amazing prophecy here. If you take May 14th, 1948, add 80 years, which comes to the 80th Day of Atonement, which is September the 30th, 2028, okay, which is the time that all scholars agree. This is a time when Jesus comes back for his church. If you subtract 7-year tribulation, but you make it in biblical years, so 7 times 360-day biblical years is 2,520 biblical days. Okay, that brings you precisely to November the 6th, 2021. Okay, now the problem with that date, November the 6th, 2021, the problem with that is that scholars believe and agree that the rapture is going to take place at the end of the wheat harvest, at the time of new wine, and when the day of Pentecost is fully come, which is in the very last days of late summer. And the problem with November the 6th is that summer ends in Israel on October the 31st, which we discussed, and the rapture occurs before this summer ends. So the tribulation has to start if the ending date is going to be September the 30th, 2028, the tribulation has to start on or before November the 6th, 2021. So let's try another calculation. If we come back with Jesus on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, in 2028, doesn't it make sense that we will leave in the rapture with Jesus 7 years earlier on the true Yom Kippur, 2021? So 7 years distance between Yom Kippur in 2021 to Yom Kippur 2028 is 7 years. And it's kind of interesting that the traditional Jewish wedding back in Jesus' day was a 7-day period. 7 days is 7 years to the Lord. So this falls right in line. We are right on time. We would be exactly 7 years up in heaven if the rapture occurs on the true Yom Kippur. And this happens to be before that all-important date of October the 31st, which is the ending of the summer. It's also interesting to note that the Bible talks of a 10-day delay in Revelation. And it's kind of interesting that the Feast of Trumpets is exactly 10 days before Yom Kippur. And this is found in Revelation 2:10. So our high now there was calculations done based on the Feast of Trumpets, and we feel that timeline is still in place. I mean, it's like the Lord gave us a wake-up call, with everybody expecting it to be on the 10 days. Everybody's expecting the rapture to occur on the Feast of Trumpets, and there is a 10-day delay. And this is just like the Lord to get everybody prepared. Okay, guys, I'm coming, get ready, and then give a 10-day delay and fall in coming on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. And so what this means is that calculation that was given to us by Python is still in effect. The Lord is still basing everything off the new year, which is the true Feast of Trumpets. And we're going, what follows is kind of going through what has already been done previously in the previous video, but it breaks it down in more detail that it sure does look like the potential rapture date of Yom Kippur, October the 16th to the 17th, is still in play, and all the other figures is still holding up. And this is really an outline of what's to come. Everything is following precisely on the day counts that the Lord has made out. What I want to do is kind of play you this video that kind of explains the importance of 80-year period of time that the Lord gives Israel to get their act together before he's coming back again and closing up history. So let me play that video for you. Oh, by the way, this video is found on the document right here. Here's a link to the video.
Now let's show you, I found a little bit more on the 80s, so I'm going to bring you over. All right, are you ready, Mr. Bones? The 80-year prophecies, everyone. Oh, I didn't even see your mouth move. I'm working on my ventriloquism. It's really good, better than mine. Okay, so we've added a few to this, and it really solidifies our belief that Jesus will come back for Israel when they're 80 years old. And that'll be 2028 at the Day of Atonement, September 30th, 2028. Count back 7 years. That's this year, folks. We gotta go. All right, so Moses was 80 when he was sent to free God's people. Let my people go. And he highlighted he was 80 when he sent him. Joseph ruled over Prince of Egypt for 80 years. When he was 30, that's when the Pharaoh had the dream, and Joseph let God interpret it for him, and he shared it with the Pharaoh. 7 years of famine, and then 7 years of plenty, and then 7 years of famine. So Joseph was 37 when the 7 years of famine hit, and then he ruled for 73 more. 37, 73. That's the first sentence of the Bible, 2701. Huge numbers here. But he ruled as Prince of Egypt for 80 years. Boaz was 80 years old when he married, who was 40. David, changing over from King David to King Solomon, was at the 80th year. And when Jesus comes back, he'll be the Prince, the King of Peace, the true Shalom man in the 80th year. Jerusalem will be 80 years old, and that is from the time they fled they were freed to go to Israel in 1948. 80 years later is when they will make their mass return. Jesus came in the 80th Jubilee. Of all the years he could have come, he came right there in the 80th Jubilee, and God counts years as Jubilees. So a day is like 1,000 years, but also a year for God is like a Jubilee. So when he said, man's days, I will strive with man for only 120. The 6,000th year is 50-year Jubilee times 120. So we are in the we have passed the 120th Jubilee that we were promised, and so now we must ascend to God. So Jesus came in the 80th Jubilee. Psalm 90 clearly identifies generation of a man is 70 years, but if by strength, if by rebellion, those years could go to 80, but their years are trouble, strife, tribulation. And then we all fly away. So God said generation will be 80 at max. And I'm going to play this little clip right after I say the rest of this of the leader in Israel actually pointing out the 73 year and the 80 year. One of our brothers on another channel, which I'll post.
When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. The days of our years are 80 years and 10, and if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away.
And we do have a legacy, the Jewish people. We've got this bug that haunts us of division. We lost our first Jewish home to division between Israel and Judea. By the way, do you folks know what was the specific reason they separated? Anyone know? What was the igniter? It was taxes. Yeah. Solomon's son, Rehoboam, decided to raise taxes. Bad idea. So we lost 80% of the Jewish people. All of us are descendants only of Judea and Benjamin, right? And then we regrouped, formed another house, another home, another Jewish state. The first one survived 80 years. The first temple, 80 years. King David and Solomon, about 80 years. The second temple, or the second commonwealth of the Jewish people, survived as a sovereign and united country about 73 years during the Maccabees. And then again, internal strife tore us apart. So the Jewish people have never exceeded 80 years in Eretz Israel as a sovereign united state. We're now 73 years old. Man, this time, we're not going to let it fall apart. We're not going to let it fall apart. That's why
For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
He actually pointed this out. It was fantastic. Okay? Now, this was also from this book of Jubilees. But Adam was given Eve in the 80th day of that first Jubilee and then they tilled the garden naked but not afraid, not ashamed, for a perfect 7 years. But Eve was given in that 80th day, and I'll post that little clip from the book of Jubilees. But back to Levitical law, if a woman should bring forth a female child, before that child is brought to the tabernacle, she must go through 2 weeks, 14 days of purification, and then continue the purification of her body for 66 days. 14 plus 66 is 80 days. So the female child is able to be brought to the tabernacle at 80 days. So Leviticus 12:5, the law of purification to make atonement. And Jesus comes back on atonement when they are 80. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different prophecies about 80. And I believe if we continue to look, we'll find more, probably 17. But that is, again, solidifying a confirmation that we have, for in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, an issue is established. And we've just continued to add on to that more and more witnesses. Yea, we can find none that have an 81-year prophecy or an 82, 83, 85, 90. We don't find those prophecies at all. So if you find one, please let us know, and we'll match it up against these 9 and see if it measures up. Okay, I want to wrap this up and get this out to you. I'm sure everybody's curious what we're thinking. But again, these feast days, these timelines are not mine. They're not even Mr. Bones. These are God's appointed times. Read the book of Daniel. Read the prophecies in Ezekiel and Jeremiah. Read the book of Revelation. He specifically says 1,260 days and 1,290 and 1335. He says that his appointments will be fulfilled and re-fulfilled. That which has been done will be done again. The Lord requireth it. So when he came, the trumpets blew, and he was born. He was wrapped in atonement rags, the high priest, and he tabernacled with us. So he fulfilled those right off the bat. And then he fulfilled Passover and unleavened bread and first fruits. And he fulfilled the Pentecost, and as we broke it apart, he was the bread and the wine and the oil. So all that's been fulfilled. So we know he's going to fulfill these again at the end, but that is his style. Now, from these days, and I'm talking about all of them, from October 7th through the 29th, 30th, even 31st. That's the day after. That's the Hoshana Rabbah. No, that's the Simchat Torah. I always get those mixed up. Simchat Torah, return to Torah. So from October 7th, which we passed, all the way until the 31st, we're still in these fall feasts. From those dates, if we go 1290, we're still in the Passover area, which is April 12th through the 20th of 2025. But also, we can go 1260 and end up beforehand. From Day of Atonement, which is the 10th day of the 7th month, 1260 is 3 years and 6 months. So go 3 years and then 6 months brings you to the 10th day of the first month. That's the day Jesus rode in on a donkey into Jerusalem and was proclaimed, Hosanna in the highest. And the Pharisees said, shut them up. And he said, hey, if they shut up, the rocks will scream out. But I believe those people were there because of the prophecy of Daniel, and they knew they should be there on that day because they expected the Messiah to ride in on a donkey. And that's why they had their palm branches, and they were all ready. So 1260 brings us right to the 10th day, where the Antichrist could mimic what Jesus did, then be killed of a mortal head wound. Again, that's already happened, but it'll happen again. And then he'll resurrect, and that's probably when the witnesses will die and resurrect. I mean, all these things have the ability to replay that same story. And then 1335, from this feast area, I actually have this from Day of Atonement, October 17th. 1335 brings you to the 15th day of the 3rd month, which is the true Shabbat. Okay? So, trumpets, we thought that was a start, but these dates are not nailed to trumpets, okay? Because the fall feasts have many things happening, and the spring feasts have many things happening, and then we got the whole Feast of Weeks, there's many things happening. So all this is still fine. And, we have this fixed Day of Atonement, he comes back. But like I said last time, I know the story is about atonement, but I know he'll fulfill trumpets on the way. So whether that's 7 days beforehand that he blows that trumpet, and we come back for 7 days of awesomeness, and then Day of Atonement is where it is described that he is wearing the red, but it could be this is the Jubilee year. And so trumpets and atonement's the same time. So all of that works. All I know is it'll work out perfect, okay? And then the extra time, 1335,